Hello, hello, hello. Gonna be doing some track feedback today for the members of Producer Dojo. Pretty stoked. This should be good. Managed to fill up my water bottle and everything. So hopefully I won't have to run off. But yeah, got a lot of cool submissions, and I'm stoked to get into it. So yeah, let's go. All right, so how many do we have today? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, we only got 4 today. Oh, you're gonna get some really good feedback. Okay, cool. All right, so Nanaban, you are up first, my friend. All right. Oh, I'm gonna download this so that we listen properly. Yay. iTunes always, the automatic opening in iTunes. Okay. So let's go here. Mariana Cleanup. Awesome. Let's check it out. Actually, here, I'll go like this. That bit's really nice. Okay, so, so that tune's pretty cool. There's a lot to like about it. I am hearing you clip the master bus a little bit more, and it sounds a bit more munched than I remember it sounding when you first started it. Like it sounds like I don't know if you're like pushing the clipping a little harder or you're like processing it more or what, but there does seem to be some distortion kind of creeping in. I suspect it's like, judging from the frequency curve, I suspect it's because your sub and kick are really loud and they're kind of like hitting the clipping threshold a little bit more than the clipper can handle. So I would recommend like turning down the low end a little bit because that'll effectively turn up the high end versus the limit that you get on the clipper. And then your kick has this kind of like pokey, like 300 to 1K range. Like it's quite loud in the 300 to 1K range. And you might want to like dip that down and try and get it like sitting, so that the weight of it is like lower. And because right now with the brightness of that kick, when it's going into its clipper or limiter or whatever other or level management, it's like you're getting more of whatever frequency is loudest. Like when you go into clipping or distortion of any kind, whatever frequency is loudest is going to get the most distortion because the distortion is gain dependent, right? So I would say probably like kind of balance the EQ on that, like maybe give it a low pass on the way into the distortion, because I'm getting a lot of really bright, like, well, not bright, but bright for a kick, like a lot of emphasis in the 500 to 1K range on that kick, and you can see it on the meters, and then you can hear it. It's like really kind of pokey and knocky, like there. And then that little think shaker piece is maybe a little early. Like, I love offsets, but it's kind of could probably be a little closer to the kick. Like, usually with the offsets, unless you're going for like a really wonky groove, you kind of want it to be like within about 15 to 20 milliseconds max off. And then your leads and stuff are really nice, like all those arpeggiators and everything. You may want to do like a big reverse reverb on the way into the first ones, and kind of like that would dramatize them a lot more, like dramatize the way they come in a lot more. Sound pretty cool. And then yeah, I would say just like, get the sub and the kick away from the clipping threshold, because you should be able to have a frequency kind of curve where the kick and bass are hitting -18, and then the highs are like, -30 or whatever. Like, if it's basically like 12 dB down the whole way, or maybe 18 dB down the whole way as you go up to like 20K, that would probably, like that kind of frequency curve will sound a lot better on a PA. Like, if you listen to it compared to other tracks in that genre, it might be a little hard to get it to stand up to those tracks. Like, I'm sure the subs will, because they're coming in at -18, but the highs are not. And the reason the highs are not is because of how loud the bass is on the way into the clipper. So on the way into the master clipper, less bass. On the way into the kicks clipper, less mids on the kick, probably low pass the whole kick. And then, I would say probably less processing in general. But you got to figure out where that distortion is coming from, because it's hard for me to really tell what's going on with the mix when I hear it kind of like fluttering and clipping and stuff, You got a nice Christmas tree going here. Yeah, like here. And those leads could probably be louder. But you got like a big hole in the pain zone. Like, from 1K to 3K is very muted. And remember, your ear is more sensitive to the pain zone because it wants the pain zone. Like, you have to be careful there because it's sensitive, but it's sensitive because the pain zone is what it wants. You see, there's this like kind of hole here. So you could probably open up your main lead a little bit. If you still want it to sound low pass but have more of those frequencies, try saturation after low pass on the lead to get that frequency area. But you really want that arpeggiator sound to be louder, a little louder than everything else, and to have a little bit more brightness. So you can either open the low pass filter or distort after the low pass filter to get that brightness. But yeah, all in all, really nice. And I think like, I'm happy to go back and forth with you a bit on it if you call me to. I just, I want to keep it moving a little quicker today, because I was in a session with Mr. Bill. We're making another new one that's really coming along good today. Got up nice and early, so I'm really stoked about it. Yeah, it's gonna be fat. We got a few new ones, but let's check out this Danimal sound tune. All right, what you got, Danimal? Pretty cool. Hi Trish, hi Lawrence. Hey, what up? We got a Halloween in the house. Yeah, Rob, if you want to do track feedback, just get it into the member feedback area quick. I'll refresh over in the members area. Oh no, yeah, here we go. This is really nice, Stanimal. Sounds good. Okay, so this is really cool. This is good work, Danimal. I'm into this overall as a track. But one thing that I think is causing the mix to not be as good as it could be is that although like the meters, everything is basically where you want it to be in terms of the frequency curve of the overall track, but it's where those frequencies are coming from that's the problem. Like your highs and everything, like you've done such a good job with the noise wash on top, like all those kind of like snare enhancer sounds and white noise splashes and everything, like they feel really silky and nice and they can stand being loud, which is good. But the way this style of music kind of is like the aesthetic of it is like the bass is typically like more kind of three-dimensional and feels like it's in front. And right now the super clear, super bright highs from your noise wash and hi-hats and everything, that feels super high fidelity and in the front, but the bass is feeling muffled in comparison. And then your bass is kind of heavy on this area around like 200 hertz, like the 100 to 200 zone. And that's like kind of like the mud zone in terms of frequencies, right? And the reason why a lot of that sounds muddy is not just like that those frequencies are just kind of inherently muddy, which is to an extent true, but it's also like on a PA, the reason why that stuff sounds muddy is because like the crossover, like let's say you cross your subs and your mid drivers over at like 90, the sub is going to have a low pass. It's not like nothing past 90 goes to the sub and nothing below 90 goes to the mid driver. A low pass has like a gentle curve. So you get like a little bit of 150, a little bit less of 200, half as much of 300, etc. And like there's like a curve going down. So you still get a lot of this 100 to 300 range. That's still hitting your sub, and that can kind of interfere with your sub. And then likewise, you know, sounds that are around 100, etc., they're going to go into the mid driver because your mid driver is going to get a little bit of the sub, but like it's just not big enough to really reproduce the super lows. So even though like the actual filters, the crossover might be matching, the speaker's capabilities don't match. Like a mid driver just can't produce those lower frequencies as much as a bass driver can reproduce the mid frequencies. So it's going to kind of, the mid driver is going to like catch a bit of that 100. So I normally try and have like basically a dip that starts at 80 that goes down and like scoops back up to about 200, but this whole range, I try and stay away from that range with most sounds. Certain sounds like a Reese, you kind of need that range for it to be what it is. And like a snare, you need that like 200 fundamental for the snare. But I normally put the fundamental of my kick, especially in a dubstep song, I normally put it in that like kind of 40 to 60 hertz range, but usually 40 to 50, sometimes even down as low as 30 if it's got a big pitch envelope on it and it doesn't spend the whole time at 30. So if you kind of like scoop out this range in your bass, that will help the bass to sound louder when it hits whatever saturation is in that bass chain. But then you're probably going to want to open up some highs on that bass using something like maybe saturation, bit reduction, amp, pedal. Like any kind of pedal sim, any kind of amp sim will give you those nice highs. I love to use the Ableton amp on like 5% wet on clean mode with it in mono, and then you get a nice centered mono high, like center stereo image that's like that air frequency that you need on like a lead or a vocal. But basically like front and back in the mix is an illusion. You know, there is no front and back. Like you're listening to like two-dimensional audio, right? Like you've got stereo and you've got frequency, you know, it's like 2 dimensions. So to create that depth, you've got to use the hierarchy of the highs, the very lows, the side only signals, and then transients and pain zones. So highs, lows, sides, transient, and pain zone. Those are the most noticeable things. So if you want like the that bass sound to sound like it's in front of the other sounds, you're likely going to need to roll off some of the highs, some of those nice highs that you've got with the white noise and the cymbals and everything, maybe taking a little transient out of the cymbals, taking a little stereo. Like if you make the highs for the drums less wide, then the bass will feel bigger in the highs because it's got wide highs. And then likewise, if you kind of just take down the frequencies above 8K and leave those frequencies in the bass distortion. So like even if you have like a low passed bass sound or like a sub, you can add those frequencies with like saturation, wave shaper, or perhaps erosion, or the Ableton amp will give you those highs. So really it's like the highs and the wide highs that are dominating your bass. So now I want you in the second drop to listen for transients and width in the highs, and then listen for the highs in the bass, because the bass doesn't have those highs. So it's the noise wash and the cymbals are wider, more transienty, and brighter than the bass. And that's why the bass isn't feeling 3D and in front. This part sounds great. Oh. Also, your long, slow auto pans are a lot. Like you may want to back those off a little bit or like use them on sounds that are like risers or something. Having them on your main lead sound is normally not what you want. Like you have those on kind of like intermittent parts or like accompaniment parts. Having it on the main lead can kind of make the mix feel lopsided and a bit like artificial and arbitrary. So just be aware of that. Oh, what happened? Yeah, see, I'm not getting... That one had highs. Like, see? See, it's all cymbals and shit, and it's really wide up there. Like really, really wide. Like really wide, really transient-y. The second half is not as pronounced as the first half. Yeah, this area. But yeah, okay. So, but yeah, really good overall. Just mostly just like mixed stuff. There's not really any like compositional stuff that needs a ton of help. All right, Gnomer, you're up. Cool. Oh yeah, you should all watch this Jack Conte video. It's really good.
This heartbeat.
Yo, I can't help but feel that if you had to go this heartbeat, beat, 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 and had that beat, 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 like delay carry over there, it would really fill out the highs nicely, because you can see you're like still very low passed and like missing a lot, and those hi-hats feel a little lonely up top. So if you put like a delay just on the word beat, like
This heartbeat.
like see, it's pretty empty up here. It was like beat, 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 like to slowly fade out with like a low pass or something, or maybe like a frequency shift each of the delays.
This heartbeat. This heartbeat. This heartbeat. This heartbeat. This heartbeat.
This sounds cool. The weird stereo shit on that is cool in this part.
This heartbeat. This heartbeat. This heartbeat. This heartbeat.
Could probably move your clap a little before the kick, and then it'll cut through the mix a little bit more. And then you might want to cut the tail off of it so it's like, you know, like a really short little guy.
This heartbeat.
That's really nice, that like chuck, 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 chuck percussion sound.
This heartbeat. This heartbeat. This heartbeat. This heartbeat. This heartbeat.
Yeah, see that's a really good use of the slow auto pan technique on that like shaker sound, because you're like not overdoing it, so it's hard pans and it sounds super, super dry and weird because it doesn't have reverb on the other side. And that, so it's like just going a little bit. Whereas like when you do it to a whole channel and there's no reverb on the side when it goes left and right, it can sound a little weird. Like when like you don't have any reverb left when it goes side to side, and it's not on a lead part, it's on a percussion part, and that feels like those percussions are just kind of like roving around a drum circle around your head. It really works. Also, I noticed that you have this like really cool like chaka 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 sound that is pretty heavy on the left. One cool thing that you can do if you want to have an off-center pan is if you take the sound and you have the sound be panned to the one side, and then you have the reverb of the sound be panned to the other side. You can balance it out so your mix doesn't feel lopsided, but your ear is still going to register that the sound is like on the other side, because the drier version is going to sound more in front than the reverb version of the sound. So I'll often do that if I want to have a percussion sound that is like off center panned like that. I'll have the drier signal be like the dry signal be panned a little bit more to one side, and then the reverb signal be panned a little bit more to the other side. And then that way you can still have a balanced mix that doesn't have holes in it, but the dryness, because like, remember, vertical wave edges are basically the sound of dryness. Like anytime you have like a square wave edge or like a sharp transient or a saw wave, square wave, vertical edge, like it's really, those are very artificial sounds. You only really get them from clipping, square waves, saw waves, cutting a drum transient off axis, etc. So that vertical wave edge is pretty much instantly disrupted as soon as you have like a high pass or something on it. So wet signals always sound further back than dry signals because they've lost their vertical wave edge, right? EQ'd signals usually sound further back than signals that have been like just freshly distorted or clipped or not EQ'd at all. They usually sound more forwards. So if you have the reverb, if you have an off-center pan, the reverb side is just inherently going to sound back. It's going to sound further to the back. But then you have like dry transient and the fact that it's a little bit offset. Anything that's not centered, it's like more noticeable in stereo. So yeah, so try that when you have those off-center drum sounds, because like I like off-center drum sounds. It's just making sure that the whole mix overall feels balanced. But yeah, really cool. That's a great sound too, that chaka chaka sound, and the tone on it is really nice. The mix on it is really nice. It just needs like a little friend on the other side so that it doesn't sound too off. I'll also sometimes make it so that like the hits alternate with the panning. You know, so you go like chaka 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 chaka, and then like each one, you know, they go back and forth. That can be another way to create balance so that you alternate pan locations on each hit. But yeah, really nice. Those hi-hat transients are really sharp though, and the hi-hats in general are really loud. Usually you want less transient on your hi-hat, kick, and snare, and more transient on your melodies.
This heartbeat, this heartbeat, this heartbeat, this heartbeat, this heartbeat, this heartbeat, this heartbeat.
Yeah, try this too, where you get like a vocal and do like get like the echo or whatever. Like if you're using FL, there'll be something that's like that. Okay, let's see if I have a sample that says heartbeat. I'll just use this. Okay, so if you take any kind of a vocal or whatever lead element, and then you get this is based on the RE201 Space Echo by Roland in the early 70s. Really, really nice echo unit, but it has like delay and reverb, and then the delay can go past 100%, most importantly, right? So in Ableton, I really like having precise control over my wet dry and my delays. So I'll get like a utility, and then I'll macro that utility in front of the delay. So that it's like the top of the knob is going to be minus infinity, and then the bottom knob is going to be 0. And then when I want to activate that delay, I can just go whoosh, and then that activates it. Just put the gain down. And the reason you go down instead of up is so that you can modulate it, right? Like right click, show modulation. And then you can, like, let's say I just want this part of that. You know, I can just get that tiny little part of it, or like just this part. Here, I'll turn up the feedback. You see how it's just got that piece? So that's, and then, but you can't modulate up, you can only modulate down. So I always make my knobs 0 at the top so that they're dry at the top, which is totally counterintuitive. I wish I didn't have to do it that way, but that's the only way you can do it if you want to be able to use modulation. So that's just, you know, that's something to know about. But yeah, so I usually make a rack that's like that, and I'll have the echo in it, and then I'll macro the feedback, and then I'll usually macro the time. And then if I want to find out like what my BPM is, like yours was probably like 125-ish. If I want to know what my delay increment is, I'll go say like mouse over that amount of time, and then look at the bottom left, it says 720. So I want my max to be 720 milliseconds. And then when that time knob is all the way up, it's going to be in time, and then I can bring it down from there. Then I'll usually put the high pass and low pass on macros, because that can be very useful to have control over. And then the reverb I'll often macro as well, so that I can like have reverb and have it go far away. And then sometimes I'll put like the decay, and then maybe the master volume of the output gain rather. So anyway, so let's say we now want a delay on this thing, right? We'll have it play with delay, and then I'll sample it to like another channel, because having these things be live, like having long delays be live in your track, is really annoying, because if the feedback's ever past 100% and you pause it when the feedback's past 100%, it'll keep getting louder until it drives you absolutely insane. So delay riser. Okay, so now I'm going to tell this to record from there, right? And I'm going to just play the knobs on this delay while I'm recording. And let's say I want some risers that are going to be, I don't know, maybe 33. So I'll loop that. And then, or actually I'll go like a bar before. And then I'm going to say, here, I'm going to make a dummy clip here, that this clip is not going to do anything except for turn the feedback down. So I'm going to modulate that feedback down. And the reason why I like modulation instead of automation is when you have it modulated, you can still play the knobs, and it's not like automated, and you don't have to worry about overriding automation and stuff. But yeah, so here I'm going to make a nice like riser with the delay now. Okay, so here's our no feedback period. But yeah, so I'll record a few of those. And if you made one of those where it's like heart, it just gets gradually more and more saturated as it goes. And then sometimes, like if I have the volume, I can see that the volume goes a little louder than I would have liked there. I'll kind of dip the volume down in the middle with a little bit of clip modulation, and then bring it up at the end. But yeah, so then anytime you want like a riser or breakdown, you can just like, this is your breakdown. You don't even need anything else. See, it's staying at a pretty consistent level now. Right? So that kind of a technique is really good in like house music, or I mean really just any genre, but it's pretty dope. So I would recommend doing some of those with the heart, because that makes it feel really cool and dubby and like not like you're using a sample pack. It's awesome. It's just like it's so easy to get your hands dirty with that technique, and it really goes a long way to making it feel like a quote unquote real song. All right, so now Lawrence, you are up next.
Ain't no sunshine when she's gone.
Classic sample.
It's not warm when she's away. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone, and she's always gone too long. Anytime she goes away, wonder this time where she's gone. Wonder if she's gonna stay. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone, and this house just ain't no home. Anytime she goes away.
Yo, want another one?
Okay, so first off, this is super sick. And then you need to get what's called snare enhancers is kind of the terminology that's grown up recently. But if you look up like enhancers, you know, like this Cashmere pack has a bunch of these things. But like, you know, these kinds of things, but like, see if I can get like, yeah, just to get that high. Yeah, that kind of shit on a snare. It's just little bits of noise up on the top. You don't want them to draw too much attention to themselves, but having a little bit of a noise layer on top of your snare will go a long way. And then your risers are a lot bright, like they're really bright and really dry, so they're feeling like they're more in front than they maybe should be. So
ain't no sun.
Okay, so let's go back to yeah, because you see that hi-hat. That hi-hat feels louder than anything else. Your kick is also like it could come a little earlier. Like I like a late kick, but it could come a little earlier on this one, I think. And then that hi-hat is like so much louder the feeling than anything else. The enhancer will help with that, and a little bit of like amp, like the 5% amp trick I was talking about earlier. A little bit of that on your bass will help it pop to the front and be like the front bright centered thing. But yeah, your risers and your hi-hats. I mean, everybody's hi-hats. It's always too much transient on the hi-hat, too much width on the hi-hat. Hi-hat's too loud. That's like, I could give every one of you this feedback today, probably. That's like everybody's songs. Like the hi-hats are too loud, they're too wide, and they have too much transient. Try a quiet tom under that snare too. If you want to get that big like 2012 dubstep like snare, a lot of the time a tom underneath will give it that. Yeah, but see those risers are way in front of the bass. This is really nice though. You clipped a little there though on the top of that rush of there it's clipping a little. It's like You can hear it.
Ain't no sunshine when she's
Yeah,
gone.
there it's clipping a little bit.
She's high, anytime she goes away. Anytime she goes away.
Yeah, really cool though. That'll be great in a DJ set. One thing that I like to do sometimes, let's see if I get a vocal maybe by itself. I'll see if I can find a vocal. I'll show you a really cool thing that you can put on vocals. I just want to get like an acapella.
Sound card.
Everybody.
I need something with some continuation. Yeah, I think I'll just go get an acapella. Let's see. What acapella? Yeah, let's do flying vocal. Do I have just the vocals from flying? I think I do. Flying. Flying stems. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, here. Okay, so download that. But I'll show you like when I want to make things sound like kind of like you know, like ethereal and floaty and like kind of like far away and nostalgic and almost like you're like, you know, you're like really high and it's all floating and you're floating and it's magical, right? I'll get the shifter, the Ableton frequency shifter, right? Put on frequency shift, 50%, wet dry, wide, and then like fucking like 1 or 2%, right? So here, listen to the vocal by itself without it.
Tonight I feel like
Yeah, you want it like not even 1 hertz there. And the fact that it's wet and dry, you get like a detune of the wet and dry, but because it's a frequency shifter and not a pitch shifter, each frequency is shifted by the same number. So like 100 becomes 200, but 1000 becomes 1100 and not 2000, right? Whereas if you pitch shifted it, 100 would become 200, 1000 would become 2000. So instead it's 100 becomes 200 and 1000 becomes 1100, which means that the highs are less out of tuned than the lows are, which means that the normal beating that you'd get if you had like 2 samples detuned against each other or 2 oscillators against each other, and you get that like whoop, 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 like canceling as the 2 sounds beat against each other, like when you're tuning a guitar and you can tell if you're in tune from the kind of LFO sound that the 2 waves are making against each other. Instead of it being like one global amount of detune, the detune like rolls up the frequency in this kind of phaser like LFO sort of an effect. And you get that only from a frequency shifter and only if it's on 50% wet dry. And then you just detune it like a tiny bit on wide and you get this like. And then another thing you may want to check out is there's this preset called Midnight for the Ableton EQ, and for the EQ3, and it's like all kind of shitty sounding and far away, and it just sounds awesome. But yeah, it's clipping a little bit there. I'm gonna bring that down. Right. So that's pretty cool, but I remade that preset using EQ8 and it's a lot cleaner. But that can be really nice when you want that like I sampled an old record feeling, but you also don't want it to be too in your face. So I'd say experiment with that, and then yeah, and then open up the snare with a noise layer or an enhancer as they've come to be known. And then, yeah, probably a little bit more distortion on the bass to get it brighter and then kick a little bit earlier. But yeah, really good overall. Really good. Like that drop will totally work. I could totally see that like crushing in a DJ set. All right. Oh, he left me a download. Thank you, Derek. So now I can listen to the high fidelity version, which will be a lot better. That the highs always get a little weird from SoundCloud. This is cool. Wow, really nice fidelity. And listen to how nice and quiet those hi-hats are. Yay, quiet hi-hats. Okay, a little busy there in the mids. Like there's just a lot of sounds at once there. You could probably have like some of those sounds be much quieter and have it still work. But yeah, this sounds really good.
Always been calling your name. It's all outside of your brain.
Yeah, here too, the vocal is just fighting so many other sounds. It's like a really well mixed vocal. And I'm sure it sounds great solo, but with all that other stuff happening in the mids, it's really hard for that vocal to sit on top. Because remember, you have to like take away the quote unquote front from the sounds that you don't want in the front in order to make the front be like more fronty. And then you want the front to like your dimensions are highs, sides, subs, transients, and pain zone. And usually the subs are like, you know, they're not in every sound. You just kind of want to make sure that there's only subs and kick in the bottom. But then to make the front and back, you know, you have width, highs, transients, and pain zone. And if your main sound has less of any of those dimensions, and then it's like getting upstaged by the other sounds, and they're stealing the show from it. You know, the band needs to stay out of the way of the singer. All these sections that are minimal sound great. Yeah, this all sounds great.
Outside of your brains.
This sounds awesome here. Vocal here. That spot around 2 minutes, that would be good to bring the vocal back in. And then like all your sections like here where it's way less busy, like ever since it got minimal about here, everything sounds great. It's just that like first kind of drop or whatever where there's just so many sounds. Like you probably need to either mute some of the sounds or turn them way down, or like, you know, just get them out of each other's way, because there's just way too many of those sounds in that earlier portion of the song. But once there's a more minimal composition, and the compositional density, that's what I like to call it, like the number of sounds or like things that are occurring at the same time. Once the compositional density becomes more minimal, everything sounds fucking great. And you can tell that like when you're mixing, probably every one of those channels that is too much when they're together probably sounds great on its own. It's just that together there's just too many different things happening. You need about like maybe a quarter of the amount of sounds in that first bit, but then once it gets super minimal, it sounds awesome. here. You're getting pile up again.
It's always been calling your name. It's all outside of your brain. It's always been calling your name. It's all outside of your brain. It's always been calling your name. It's all outside of your brain.
Yeah, really nice overall. If you just take away a bunch of the sounds in there or turn them way the hell down, probably mute them. A really good exercise to do is to reduce the track to nothing except for, the like just turn all the faders down, bring up the most important sounds only, and basically bring up just the vocal, the sub, the drums, probably a couple supplemental percussion parts, and then see what is the actual minimum number of sounds that are like the minimum number of those other melody sounds that you can include and have the song's essence still be intact. And you can only find out which things are essential after you reduce to the point that you break the song's identity, and then once you're like, oh, okay, well, these things cannot be removed. And then if you mix the sounds that cannot be removed first, and then add only as much of the rest of the sounds back as you need, that really helps to get those to reduce the compositional density. And, perfection is not when there's nothing left to add, it's when there's nothing left to take away. Okay, so always remember that when you're composing, because excess compositional density is usually the thing that makes people who are new sound like they're new, is that they're trying to flex by showing off with the notes and the instruments and the glitchy effects and backwards stuff and blah, 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 blah. But people aren't impressed with that. What they're impressed with is restraint and elegance. Restraint is the ultimate flex. Okay. Restraint is the ultimate flex. And it is much more difficult to know when less is more and to know when things should be left alone. That is much harder than adding stuff. Anyone can go to an AI and get it to do whatever. Anyone can go to a glitch plugin and get it to do whatever. Anyone can go, buy whatever fancifier VST is getting advertised at you on Instagram. Anyone can do that, but not just anyone can exercise restraint. Not just anyone can have tasteful minimalism, and the reason why AI is not going to take your job is because people have fucking terrible taste. And there's just there's always a human at the helm of the AI going, I like this, I don't like this. And most people have not trained their ears. So they'll be like, yeah, more. And then they get a cluttered composition that doesn't make sense, and there'll never be a good taste plugin, there'll never be that. And if there is, you have to let it drive, and then it's not really your music anymore. Right? So restraint, focusing on restraint and elegance, impress us with your restraint, your minimalism, and your style. It's not plugins that impress us. It's not loudness that impresses us. It's not details that impress us. It's minimalism, elegance, touch of class, touch of taste. All right, cool. So I am going to open up 2 more spots if anyone is fast. If we have any new Producers Path members, then I'll do I guess I'll do one more spot for anyone who joins the Producer's Path. And what you ask is the Producer's Path? Well, I'm glad you asked. Let me show you. Did you know that you could be proud of the music you're making 90 days from now, even if you've never made music before? All it takes is a commitment to 5 minutes a day. Yep, just 5 minutes, and you'll embark on a transformative journey into music production and self-discovery. Can you spare that? I'm Bill Gates, and I've spent 20 years distilling my experiences with Grammy-winning artists, making tracks played over 65 million times into something epic for you, the Producer's Path. This isn't just a course, it's a gateway to mastering music production without needing expensive gear or prior experience. You don't need to be born rich, you don't need to be born gifted. All you need is a commitment to spending 5 minutes a day on music. The Producer's Path is a proven system that has supported top artists throughout the industry. And now it's your turn to access these secrets and forge your own unique sound. As you journey through the 12 levels of the Producer's Path, each step designed to build your skills and confidence, you'll not only learn music production, but also discover how to express your individual style, breaking the rules like a true artist. Join our vibrant Producer Dojo community, get feedback on your tracks, and maybe even feature on a Dojo mixtape. With no subscriptions and free updates for life, your path to music mastery is evergreen, and you can come back again and again and again, getting more out of it each time. So what's it going to be? Continue as is, or spend the next 90 days at the dojo transforming into the music producer you've always wanted to be? Listen to what your fellow dojo members have achieved with the Producer's Path. Their success stories could be yours.
I started from zero.
Dude, the way you laid it out,
Here's what you do first.
it's amazing.
The habit tracking changed my whole mindset.
Honestly,
Huge breakthrough.
Huge difference.
comprehensive.
Game changers.
It gives me goosebumps.
Just blows my mind.
That's when I was like, okay, I can make music.
I'm actually doing some art.
Making music felt more real at that point.
To understand, hey, motherfucker, I'm doing this shit right.
I can show my children's children who I was.
Other people have been saying it sounds good.
Everybody's, oh, that's pretty cool. It's pretty exciting.
Never found the answer until I went to the Producer's Path.
Yes. But yeah, so if any of you are on the fence about joining the Producer's Path, if you join the Producer's Path now, I will do track feedback for you. And yeah, I'll do track feedback. So there's also full money back guarantee. It's a 12-week course. It starts on May the 15th. And, it will be available as a digital course after. But if you want to do it live with us as a group and habit track and get on the habit tracking scoreboard and be able to ask questions and stuff in the live classes, that starts on the 15th. And there is, like with everything we do, a full money back guarantee. If you don't love it, you don't pay. How's that? You don't love it, you don't pay. But yeah, it's 90 days. There's 12 levels. We did lesson 0 yesterday, and it is our most popular live stream. So that's pretty cool. People really liked it. You can check out lesson 0 in the thing. Oh, okay. So Rob Van, you are a member of the Producer's Path. Awesome. Submit your track in the Producer's Path Discord. If you submit it in just like the music for feedback, I think it's called, let me go into Discord. But yeah, there's a track feedback area in the Producer's Path. If you post one in there in the Discord, here, I'm just going to go over here. Okay, cool. So, boopity boop. Over in the Producer's Path. Yeah, community feedback. Okay, so this area. So you go to the Dojo Discord. And then you scroll down to community feedback. And if you paste a track into the community feedback area, I will give you some track feedback. And yeah, so get in there. Post it, Rob. Yeah, the Discord is members only. There are free areas of the Discord though. I'm sure Katie Slowform might have a link for that. Because there are free areas in the Discord, but the Producer's Path is members only, so only people who are in the course can submit there. But yeah, if you're on the fence and you want to get track feedback, join the Producer's Path. You won't regret it, and I will do track feedback right now. Interesting. I think someone has, Love Stereo Dreams. You just posted the YouTube that I'm currently making. So that's yeah, I don't know if that was the track that you were setting for feedback, or if you want me to give feedback on the stream that I'm doing while I'm doing it. I could maybe do that. I don't know. But yeah, you might want to edit your post, Rob. I'm assuming Love Stereo Dreams is you, Rob Van. But yeah, if you want to edit your post, you've posted the YouTube that we are currently watching. It's all very meta. Oh yeah. But yeah, if you edit that post and put your track in, I will do it. And if any of you are new, oh, there we go. Okay, cool. Here we go. All right, so Rob, here is Rob Van's track for feedback. Here we go. Sounds pretty good. I like the randomization and stuff with the hat, or with the claps. I don't know if actually maybe those are real claps, but I like that they're not all super uniform. You could probably saturate that bass a little bit. The bass is feeling a little bit far away. Vocal edits feel great though.
Me too. Baby, come over, let me kiss you. Yeah.
That fill could have resolved a little nicer. Okay, here, I downloaded your YouTube video. I'm just gonna load it up in Ableton here and show you a couple things. But your bass is because it's an acoustic bass, there's a lot of spots where it has like kind of it's got two subs, you know, and you might wanna put like a sub underneath some of those basses. And to have it be like more consistent in volume. And one of the easiest ways to get your subs more consistent in volume is to use this freeware plugin called OTT, which is like the Ableton OTT, but a little bit different in some regards. And this is the X4 Records version of the Ableton OTT, the famous OTT preset for getting things loud, which is in the multiband compressor in Ableton. Here, I'll just show you. OTT here, if you go to the multiband, this is like kind of a really famous preset, changed music big time. And this OTT preset, everything below these thresholds is getting made louder, and everything above these thresholds is getting made quieter. And the big thing that it does is that the highs, like pushing up the highs, because a sound in the natural world is the bass is going to be usually louder than the highs. And then what you want in a recording is like a little bit brighter to make it sound good as a recording. So this is kind of like a way of cheating and getting highs a lot of the time. But, oh, Feather. Hey, what up, dog? Hi, Feather. Welcome to the show. That's my doggy Wog. Feather's a good girl. She's the goodest. But yeah, so so this pushes everything up in those below thresholds. If you turn the downward down, it doesn't push things down. If you turn the upward down, it doesn't push things up. But the X4 OTT has some secret features that you're only able to access from the Ableton viewer here. And if I go there, I can put clean crossover mode on, which makes it cleaner, so that you get less like disruption from the band splitting. You get less phase rotation. And then you can turn off see, I've just bypassed the highs and the mids. And then I'm going to bypass the downwards on the highs and the mids now. So now all it's doing is the sub. And usually you got to turn the gain down. I think the default gain is plus 12 for some baffling reason. But if you put the gain down a little bit here, right, then you can just use this and as a way to set the level of all of your subs. And it makes your subs like a really consistent level below 88 hertz. See? Now I'll take it off. See? Their levels are all over the place. Alright, turn this on. But yeah, so that's a good way to get some kind of clean levels out of your subs and get them even. I wouldn't do it on the whole mix like that. Like you can, but you kind of shouldn't really do anything to the whole mix because it's better to not use that much processing. It tends to fuck your mix up a bit if you use high passing excessively. And anytime you have a band split, like any multi-band stuff is going to kind of take away from the kind of like dryness and clarity of the mix. So watch out for that. I try not to do any processing on my master. A track that does not need mastering to sound loud and clear and translate on other systems will always sound a little bit nicer than a track that did need mastering, because mastering is like, it's just for level. And if it's just for level, just clip it. So check out this video, the 80-20 of mixing that I did. 80-20 of mixing. L Gates, maybe. Yeah, there we go. So this video,
All right.
This is an hour and a half on mixing that will explain a lot of stuff, including how to do mixing with just leveling, like just keeping your tracks clean, not processing them too much, and just getting the levels set right. Hey, I'm doing a live stream, just FYI. But yeah, so that mixing video is really useful, and I think that'll help you a lot if you just like start clipping your drums a little bit and get your sub levels a little bit more balanced. Watch out for that area between 100 to 300. You're pretty heavy on that, but then you're going to need to clip your drums to be able to have them feel louder, because right now the levels that you're seeing on your meters are from the peaks, and the peaks are over so fast that the actual level of the drum is far below that, but what you're seeing on the meters is the peaks. So if you clip those peaks off with clippers, that's the cleanest way to do it. That's cleaner than a limiter and everything. If you clip those peaks off with clippers, then you will be able to get the drums to be a little bit punchier and stuff and still not in the way of the vocal. And then, get those subs up. But yeah, the actual songwriting is great. The vocals are great. The guitars and everything and the instruments sound great. It's really just getting the mix on the drums and subs right. But yeah, this is really nice. I'm into it.
Not like you, but I had to pretend my friends don't know about you. If we high, we'll be better. Baby, you got that side, that personality. You got that power to melt all in me. If you wanna dance, oh baby, come to. I don't wanna dance and fun without you. If you wanna dance, oh baby, come to. I wanna know. If you wanna dance, oh baby, come to.
Yeah, I'm hearing some Beats Mode warping artifacts on your drums where like when you time stretch drums downwards, you get the like ping pong loop. If you put it on play forwards and stop in the Beats Mode, like let's say this is on Beats Mode, right? There's these three algorithms here. There's play forwards and stop, there's forwards loop, and there's ping pong loop. The default is ping pong loop. And if you set it to play forwards and stop, whenever each slice runs out of audio, it'll just stop instead of adding a little reverse. But like your drum fill, I could hear it. And then I can hear that algorithm on the drums here too. You can just hear all these little cuts and little ping pongs happening. Yeah, and then you need to get a bit more noise and brightness on your snare too. It all sounds very dry, unclipped, and kind of muffled. But yeah, the actual recordings are all very clean and the songwriting is really nice. So I'm pretty stoked on that. I dig it. All right. Cool. So I think that's everybody, unless did anybody suddenly join the producer's path? Oh, you're missing out. You're missing out. All right. Well, get in there. It's open for a little bit longer because we don't start until the 15th, but you will not regret it. And there's already a big library of stuff for you to dig into right away, including the brand new sample library that I just finished. That is pretty awesome. It's a real big sample library that everyone in the producer's path gets all the samples that they need to start making music. It's like over 45 minutes of original samples. And you get that, and then you're going to get my new book when it's ready. It's very close to ready. And so you get my new book. theproducerspath.com is the course. Yeah, I mean, Jazz, if you're going to do it, if you do it now and you join, then you can post a song in the chat and I'll give you track feedback right now. But yeah, go to theproducerspath.com. It's linked at the bottom of this video. But yeah, theproducerspath.com. Money back guarantee if you don't love it. And you get to join our awesome community and go through the course in real time, which is cool because once that's done, it's going to be in the library. Yeah, and then like you go to Discord. And like here, this is the Producer's Path area. This like explains all the different areas of the Discord. We make announcements here. This is where you can find out about, see, here we go. There's, all the Producer's Path announcements. And then you can meet like your fellow members. There's all kinds of cool people in here. Like, look at all these cool cats. Music making badasses. Look at them. Look at all these awesome music makers. Yeah. But yeah, so you can join our community. And we're all going to go through the course starting on the 15th. It's going to be really cool. Then there's, you can post for written track feedback here and get feedback from the community, talk about the course when it starts there. And it's pretty rad. People love it, myself included. All it's missing is you. And then, I'm going to be doing track feedback a bit more. It's a good way to be able to stream and connect with the community without getting copyright strikes. So once we realized that, and then like I used to work on music on YouTube all the time, and then like people would like record my streams and then like chop out the songs and host them, and then they would have my songs before they were out. So I was like, this is why we can't have nice things. So I was kind of like looking for something that I could do to stream more regularly that would not involve my tracks getting jacked or copyright infringement. And this is like this track feedback thing. It's like right in the sweet spot for that. So I'll be doing more track feedback. And when we have open track feedback, if you are on our mailing list, you'll know about the open track feedback. And there's lots of stuff in the free tier. And then, of course, the Producer Dojo channel. There's all kinds of stuff on the Producer Dojo channel. And I'm modding the Discord myself now. I used to be a Luddite, but now I have learned to love Discord, and now I love it. And I have Mr. Bill waiting to finish a track with me in Discord right now. So I'm going to go, but lots of love. Thank you all so much for joining us. And big up to all of you on the producer's path. I'm really excited for this course. It's going to be super fun. All right. Peace out. See you in the producer's path.com.